Good morning and welcome to the Wake.Show. I am Fisher. I hope everybody is doing all right today, and welcome. We'll get right into. We could get into the news of the day, but the news of the day has everything to do with the the speech last night, the State of the Union. And so here's how this works. If you are a supporter of the president, then it was the greatest speech ever. If you're not a supporter of the president, it wasn't. And now on to other things. Let's bring in my guest this morning, Andrew Mahato. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking.
All right, let me get your levels right there. Now you sound good.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by our new studio here. Let me get, let's see. I'm pushing all the buttons around. Oh, if I'm going to push that button, I need to slide over this way. So cool. How are you? How are you, sir?
I'm loving life. It's a bit chilly out there today, but I'm from Indiana, so it could be worse. It could be snowing at -20, so I'm not complaining.
And you're the founder of Newtown Connections here in the Bay Area.
Correct.
You've been in the Bay Area almost 7 years now, right?
Yes, I've moved down here April 2011.
And where you came from Indiana?
Yes.
What got you from Indiana to Florida?
But days like today, actually. So I met a guy at a tennis tournament in Cincinnati, Ohio in 2010, and he convinced me that I should come down and we could play tennis in Florida in wintertime. So I visited December 2010, and I asked myself, why am I still living in Indiana? And I picked up my stuff 3 months later and moved down here.
You were a CPA, or are you still a CPA?
Technically, I'm still licensed, but I don't practice anymore.
All right, so you're a CPA in Indiana, and I'm born and reared in this fine. You got to say reared.
Okay.
I'm born and reared in this fine state. I don't think that I've ever been to Indiana.
Well, if you like soybeans, corn, cows, and farms, that's a place for you.
Well, I like all that stuff.
But there's really, outside of Indianapolis, which I lived there for 8 years, there's not a whole lot to do. It's just from Indianapolis to Chicago, it's a 3.5-hour drive of farmland, and basically that's about it. So really boring outside the big cities, and I grew up in a farm town, so that's my claim to fame. I grew up in a farm town of 500 people.
My family comes from farm people in Western New York. I'm first generation off the farm.
Yeah.
But I can say that, and you're like, oh, like there's some connection with farm. There's no connection with farm people, because my father, he went into the military. Once he got out, he came down to Florida as well, and so the farm life is a myth. It's a mythology in my world. We went to the farm every summer as children and ran around the acreage there. But I do not know what farm life is. Now, were you raised on a farm?
No, I was raised in a farm town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we grew up on 4 acres, but
okay, 4
acres is not 400 acres.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, so you came to Tampa, and when you first came to Tampa, because it's a very interesting story. You come to Tampa, and you are an influencer now here in the Bay Area. You are bringing people together. You're bringing young professionals together, and this is one of the reasons why I'm having on today for those of you that are entrepreneurial or looking to enter that world, or maybe not. Maybe you are in just sales, or you're needing to network for whatever reason. This is one of the organizations that you want to be a part of, and that is a Newtown Connection. So I'm going to make an assumption on where this name came from.
Yes.
You came to a new town, and you needed some connections.
You
Nailed it?
You are a genius. Genius.
Thank you very much. So in the beginning here, so you're a CPA. You're not a networker,
nope.
but are you a social butterfly, as they say?
I've always been social, but as a CPA, I'm behind the desk crunching numbers all day long. So I never had a need to network until I moved here. Then I moved here knowing that one guy, and like many other people who moved to Tampa Bay, that when you move here and you're 30 years old or 22 or 42, that question is, where do you go to meet people? And that's why I started Newtown Connection.
Well, bars are usually a pretty good place to begin.
Well, it's bars, but also today with technology, a lot of people go on Bumble, Tinder, Match.com just to meet people.
Well, this is one of the things that fascinates me about you, and we'll get to your book here as well. But you how old are you?
I'm 36 now.
36
but
years
I pretend
old.
I'm 26.
Okay, because you target the millennials, but I guess you're at the upper end of the millennial.
I always joke that I'm the first millennial.
The first millennial, okay.
'Cause I was born in 1981, so.
But you wanted take the focus off of gadgets.
Yes.
In this generation, and are you trying to force the old ways on this next generation?
I'm a bit old school. I never had a cell phone until I turned 21.
Wow.
So imagine the people today. Of course, I hang out with people who are 21 today, and they grew up with cell phones since they were probably under 10.
So why do they need to network when they can just hop on? They are networking. They got their network in their hand.
There's a lack of genuine connectedness from the phone. if I'm on a phone, I can text you, I can email you, I can Facebook you, but it's not a real conversation. It's just words. This is a real conversation, me and you right now. And I push people outside of their comfort zone to go have a lunch, go have a coffee. Because when I have an hour conversation with you or anyone else over coffee, I actually get to know you versus a 5-minute text conversation of, hey, what are you doing tonight? Want to go out and grab a beer?
Last week I did the Dale Carnegie course. I did one of his courses. It was a 3-day immersion course, and that's one of the things that they do in these seminars, these courses, is they want to get everybody in the room out of their comfort zone.
Yes.
And it opens up everything. That's all well and good when you're in a seminar setting. But when you're going, hey, I want you to join my club, and and pay monthly dues, and I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable every single month.
So that's the fun part is Newtown Connections, we're a social club, and we're not networking based. So I always tell people, just because we're young professionals, which I define as 21 to 40ish, that you're not going to show up and ask me, Andrew, nice to meet you. What do you do? We're more of, hey, Andrew, nice to meet you. Where are you from? How long have you been here? And it starts a real conversation, not solely based on that I'm a CPA and you're in entertainment or whatever. So
at 45, I'm not allowed in your club?
No, we do have people. We do.
You do have old people like me in your club?
I didn't say old, but most people are in their 30s. Really, we have people who are 22. Again, stage of your life. If you're 45 and you're married and you have 3 kids, most likely you don't have time to go out to a social club.
Right.
So it's a stage of life. If you're 42 and you're still single, and again, we have single people, we have married people, but most people don't have kids because the kids. Again, when I'm hosting a happy hour at 7:30 on a Wednesday night, most likely you can't make it.
Right. But you say that this is not a this is not a singles group.
No.
However, you did meet. By the way, what I'm getting ready to say is based off of information that's 6 months old. Are you still dating the woman?
I'm engaged. I met my fiance through the group.
Okay, all right. You met your fiance through the group,
yes.
Because in the article from over the summer, it was your girlfriend at the time.
Now we're engaged.
Congratulations.
So I joke that I just had to quit my job, start a company to meet my future wife. Just a few steps to meet my wife. Wife.
Is that an issue when it comes to these networking organizations? A lot of times they start off as business oriented, but it turns into a singles mixer.
Well, I'll take a step back in that. Most people, I do trainings. I go to companies. Last week I was at a bank and a financial advisory firm, and I train people during lunch usually how to network. So most people never had a class on how to network, and that's their go-to question of, hey Chris, you gotta go out, you have to go network, and you're like, okay, well I don't know how to. I'm just gonna go ask people, nice to meet you. What do you do? So I train people like how to just have a real conversation that's not about work. It's about you as a person. Like I'm sure at Dale Carnegie they teach the same thing of. It's not about me. What do I do for work? I want to learn about you as a person.
I was very surprised on how much of this business class was focused on on the relationship side of this.
Yes.
When somebody like me hears how to win friends and influence people, I'm naturally a social person. I'm naturally somebody who is genuinely interested in what you have to say. But it seems like this was a course for psychopaths. Like, hey, come here. We'll teach you how
to talk to people.
Yeah, what I already know, what I genuinely, is part of my nature. Well, we're going to share with other people. It's not their nature, so you could learn how to manipulate people. So I entered this with a little bit of trepidation, but that wasn't the case at all.
No. So again, with what we do, I get people out of their comfort zone. Which we have introverts, we have extroverts. People like me and you, easy. We can talk to anyone.
Right.
But there's a lot of people who, again, if they may feel they have social anxiety. A lot of people who are connected to their cell phones, they have that social. I gotta get off my phone and talk to people in real life, which is different because when you're behind the phone, it doesn't really matter who I talk to. I can ignore people and whatever. But you're in a room of 50 people, and you have to talk to people. People, they get nervous.
Yeah, my wife just came back. So they had a family a situation up north that they had to go take care of, and she was on the phone with me the other night, and with this realization of, hey, I think I have social anxiety. I'm starting to put it together now. I don't like to be in these kinds of situations, those kinds of situations, and now, and she's over 30 years old, and she's just now realizing, I don't know how to say this. These situations that she found herself uncomfortable in, she thought it was the situation. There's something about something over there, and she's finally realizing, holy crap, it may be me.
So that's the fun part of what we do at Newtown is that there's a process to get in. There's an application, and either me or my team, we FaceTime and Skype people to get into the group. So that we do that for a couple of reasons, but mainly I want to know your story. So if you say, hey, Andrew, I'm from New York. I've been here 10 years. I'm married. I live in South Tampa. And I love the Tampa Bay Lightning. So when you come to one of my events, I have your story. And then guess what? I act as a friend facilitator, basically. And when you come in, I introduce you to people in the group. So that takes away some of the anxiety.
That's huge.
So when you come in, either me or my team, there's 4 of us, we're there at every single event. So when you walk in that front door, you know that we're going to introduce you to 5 people immediately.
So this isn't one of those situations where you're just setting up an event, then raking in the money and going, oh, here, get liquored up, knock yourselves out,
have a great time, bye.
Right.
No, so that's our key differentiator. Imagine that when you walk into that front door here, and you're like, okay, I'm nervous, my first event, I don't know anyone, but you meet me. I was like, hey, Chris, follow me. We're going to meet 5 people. This is Jessica. This is Tim. This is Connie. This is Tracy. And I tell them, like, hey, guys, this is Chris's first event. He just moved here from New York City. And they're going to hop on. Oh, my gosh, how long have you been here? Why'd you move here? And immediately that anxiety goes away because people are asking about you, like what Dale Carnegie teaches. And now you're just having a normal conversation. It doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't feel networky. Because
the the networking events that I've been to over the years, they're very... I don't know. I don't say rigid.
Feels forced.
Yeah, there you go. It feels very forced, and then it just feels like let's just start exchanging business cards because I don't know what else to do right now.
I'm collecting business cards.
Right.
And when I train in these, I said on Friday I was at a financial advisory firm, and I was telling those people that, great, you've collected 15 business cards. What's the point if you don't do anything with it? Because most of these people, they collect the business cards, and they sit there on their desk, and then what's the point of networking if you're just going to sit there and not do anything with business cards? Like, I want to have a real conversation, get to know people.
Andrew, when you first decided, because there's a lot of these networking groups or organizations here in the Bay Area, how did you find your niche?
Really, I'm a yes man. So when I go out, if you invite me to any event, as long as I'm free. And I told people, like, I'm a CPA, but I would hang out with engineers, doctors, nurses, IT people, you name it, because I would ask them, like, Chris, where are you going out tonight? And you're like, oh, I'm going to XYZ event. And I was like, oh, you mind if I come with? And you said, sure. So that's where I found my niche, because I swear, I've created a spreadsheet of 65 different networking groups here in Tampa Bay. And they're the most random groups that you would never ever hear of, just because I've said yes to so many different things.
Now you've published a book as well, so you don't want to just say, hey, I'll just move to Tampa, I'll move to Paradise, I'll start a networking organization and live happily ever after. No, you have to keep going.
No, I have this greater vision that my purpose is bigger than just being here and having fun in Florida. That I've read Dale Carnegie's books, and that he's inspired me that I should be doing something in this world, because he wrote his book in 1936, I believe. And like, why can't I be the next Dale Carnegie of how do you really go out and make friends and meet people today? And
that is something else that is promising for me. Again, I think what it was, I don't know what it was. Once I got into me, see, I'm like you. I'm from a small town here in Florida, Ocoee. Yeah. Raised with, I guess, farmers' values, and then the more that I got into the media, because I started the media when I was 20 years old, the more that I got into the media, the more I'm going to use the term psychopathic, but that's not fair, obviously. I think what I'm trying to describe is those moments where I would see this lack of empathy in the decision making, and when it gets more and more focused on the bottom line and less focused on people, I don't know. I just ended up with an icky feeling, and it's only been recently in my dealings with Chords and running into more people like you that I'm starting to have a renewed faith in those people who are more capitalistic minded, because I started to get that feeling that, man, maybe it's capitalism itself. Maybe it promotes this greed and this fear, so that you turn off this part where you're connected to human beings and you just stay focused on how do I improve my bottom line so I don't get fired, or so that my wife doesn't leave me, or whatever it is that's going on. But I'm running into more and more people that are like you, that are going, hey, listen, yeah, I'm successful. So can you. You can be successful too. And I'm not just going to sit back and go, hey, you can be successful. I'm going to get out there and show you how to do it.
And that's funny you mention it, because I do talk to. I go to the University of Tampa, or USF, and I speak to their entrepreneur clubs or whatever, and talk about how do you start a business. And I tell people, like, look, I went from being a CPA. I could have lived a happily ever life in Indianapolis, being a CPA, making good money, having a white picket fence. But to me, I found my purpose of, I love connecting people. I'm great at math. I can be a CPA, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is to connect people. That's why I wrote this book. We're working on expanding to different cities. We're going to Dallas here in a few months. That Newtown Connections should be in every major city. And we're launching a mobile app here soon that the true vision is I want to go to every major city, start a Newtown Connections, and that eventually through this app I can go to these cities. Say I go to Dallas, Texas, or Austin, Texas, and we're there. I get to connect with other like-minded people at one of their events, and there's another me or another, whether it's a guy or girl, doesn't matter, but someone's there, and they're going to introduce me to 5 or 10, 15 people in Dallas, Texas. So I'm there, I feel like I'm at home, that I just now have 15 friends in Dallas like that, and that's what I'm really working toward.
In the studio right now, we have Andrew Mahota, Newtown Connections, and you have a book as well. And that is Connecting in a Disconnected World, which is available through Amazon.com. And in that, you outline 18 proactive steps. So what are some of those steps?
So I believe the first step I put out there is you have to find your happiness. A lot of people today, like you said it, that
easier said than done.
We all go through the motions. And I tell people you got to step outside your comfort zone. That's one of the steps too. But finding your happiness. That a lot of us get brainwashed that I have a degree in accounting, you have a degree in marketing, I have a degree in engineering, that this is the path I have to stay on because I have a degree in marketing or engineering. And it took me 34 years to figure out, who cares? I have a degree in accounting, but that's not like why I'm here. Doing accounting doesn't make me happy.
So finding your purpose?
Yes.
Finding your purpose, you find your happiness?
It was that I say that, but it's very hard for people to figure out, like, how do you find your purpose?
My mom a few years ago, because I was having some issues with melancholy. We'll use the terminology from Dale Carnegie's day, suffering from melancholy, and so she gave me a book called Purpose Driven Life, and I was like, oh, that's genius. You're right. If you have purpose, if you feel like you have a sense of purpose, then you're hopping out of bed every single day because you have something that you have to get to.
Yes.
Now, granted, the premise of the book is your purpose is Jesus. Come to find out, so that took some things off.
A little bit different,
it took some things off the table for me, but it is very, very true. What's another one of the? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'll say so. In regards to your purpose, I tell people that figure out what are your gifts, and figure out what are you better at than anyone else. Because that's what turned the table for me is people start asking me, Andrew, how do you have so much energy? Because I used to go to network. Well, I still do. I was going to networking events almost 2 to 3 a day, 4 days a week. That's how again, I've only been here 7 years. I knew one person. Now I know several thousand people because I went to all these events. And my friends, how do you have so much energy? And I started thinking about, like, you start asking why. So that's in the book too, of you start asking why. Like, why did I meet Chris? Why am I here? Why do I have so much energy? You start doing like this, train of thoughts like why? And that eventually led me to my purpose. Like, I have this gift of natural energy that I can go to 3 events a day. I don't get tired. And I can remember people's names. I'm a good people connector. And that's what gave me that courage to start my own business, because I have these gifts. And that's my purpose, is to start Newtown Connections.
A lot of people, if watching this or would see something like that, well, I love people too. I love to connect people too.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't remember what book it is, but they call people like that pollinators. They're just hopping from one group to another group to another group, and at the same time, they are connecting those groups in their own way. So if somebody is that, they go, all right, that sounds great. That's me. How do I make a living doing that?
Well, that's the tricky part. Is for me, I thought the same thing. I'm like, great, I'm awesome people connector, but how do I turn this into a living? And that's where this I was like, well, if I'm turning this into a living, I'm going to start a club, because again, I'm a business guy and I'm going to make monthly membership. That's where revenue comes in from. So you have to put the two. You have to pair the 2 and 2 together. Of, well, great, I'm great with people, but I mean, that's great to have. You have that gift, but how are you going to turn that into a business that's viable? And even what I do today, it's running an event. I run events two times a week. It's a lot of work and a lot of energy. So that's where you're like, great, I'm good at connecting people, but I don't have the energy to do what I do, because my energy level is just insane of all the stuff I do.
So when you lay down at night, are you going right to sleep?
I do fall asleep, but again,
because you're exhausted.
Well, yeah, I run at 90 miles an hour for 18 hours a day.
What about inspirations early on? You said that you had some thoughts that led to where you are, but were there some people along the way, or some moments in your life?
I would just say that I put in my book too that every person you meet matters, and that's where I say, again, you start figuring out, like, well, I met you today. I'm here today because I'm at Chords. I'm at Chords because I have my friend Kimberly. So again, it took three layers of people to get here where I am today. If I didn't see my friend Kimberly in St. Pete 3 weeks ago, who introduced me to Chords, who introduced me to you.
You know, I think that's one of the things that that had a negative impact on me, is because since I'm come from a small town and I'm naturally a, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And I want to get to know your story. It took a while to realize how that was being taken advantage of, that part of my personality, and that way too many people over the years. And I don't know if you know my backstory or not, but I did radio in this town since 1998. You did a morning show at 97, actually, which is the alternative rock station, Fisher and Seth, Fisher and Boy, for over 10 years. And so when I'd meet somebody, I don't have a, what do they call that, an ulterior motive. I don't have an angle. I met a new person, and that excites me.
Yeah.
But what I realized, it took me a long time, and I had to take a couple of blows to the chin. But I realized how many people that I was meeting, that's all was going in their head is, oh, this person's on the radio. What can he do for me? And once I started to sense that more and more, I really started to withdraw, and I don't know, started to back away from people.
No, it's tricky that I'm a similar position now where I know a lot of people, and people say, Andrew, can you do this for me? Can you do this? I'm like, I can't. I do say yes to a lot of events, but I can't help everyone. And I'm very aware that some people want to use me because I know a lot of people. Like, oh, you know the CFO over here. Can you introduce me? Like, who are you? So you have to be cognizant of what are their intentions. Is it genuine, or are they trying to use me? And then again, that's a tricky dance you have to do with people.
I told Chords last week, he came on the show. We were chatting about some stuff, and I told him that when I first met him, because he was so nice and so genuine, I'm like, he's too nice and too genuine, because I had become jaded.
Yes.
But I walked that back. I said when I first met him, in my head, I had to contemplate, is this guy a bullshitter? Is he bullshitting me? But he wasn't. He is legit, and like I said, it's nice to meet more and more people like that.
Well, to go back to your question about the inspiration for what I've done is that through all this networking, I've been out here in Tampa Bay. I've met so many people who felt the same way as I did. So when I've been out networking, and I've heard the same story of, I just moved here, I don't know anyone, it's so hard to meet people today. I'm sick of using Bumble. I'm sick of going on Tinder. These people have given me the inspiration to do what I do, because I've heard it from 1,000 people that it sucks making friends today. It's not easy. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward. Who wants to go on Bumble? Even like Bumble has their new, like, they have a BFF app. You're like, oh, I can go on Bumble and I can be best friends with you, Chris.
Yeah, luckily I'm old and I'm married, so I don't even have to worry about that kind of stuff.
But that's what most, again, people in our 20s and 30s we deal with all the time, that we think it's super easy to go out and have this kind of this back and forth dialogue. But again, without me being an intermediary, it's a bit awkward.
You know what? And one of the things that what you're teaching and what I saw in Dale Carnegie, when you leave that conversation that you're talking about when you first meet somebody, instead of having that thought of, okay, now that I know this person, who are they connected to and what they can do for me? As you leave that conversation, you're driving away. You go, what a cool person. Who do I know that can help them?
Yes.
What do I have in my arsenal that could help, that can benefit that person?
Exactly. So again, like every day I get help. Maybe 5 random people on LinkedIn add me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn and Facebook, those are my 2 biggest platforms, and I get random people, and usually I say, sure, like, I'll accept people on LinkedIn. I always respond, says, hey Chris, thanks for adding me on LinkedIn. What can I do for you? Because again, it's that whole different mentality of the reciprocity. Like, I'm sure Dale Carnegie preaches that. I believe in the reciprocity. That
do you believe in it as a fundamental law of nature? Or a philosophy approach to life?
I believe in people, and that I believe that it doesn't. Of course, it doesn't always work out this way. Or if I do something, if I scratch your back, that you're going to scratch my back. And again, that doesn't always work out the way. But I genuinely believe that, again, I get to know you. I'm not going to do it for just any random person, but if I get to know you, we become friends. So friends. If we're friends, I'm going to scratch your back. Then down the road, I'm expecting that sometime you're going to give me, when I ask for a favor, that you'll pay it back, and that you're not going to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm too busy, I can't help you out.
Yeah, that was, again, I'm sorry that I'm bringing this back to me. Yeah. But I'm just coming out of this phase. That's why I'm just coming out of this negative Just everybody was out for themselves, kind of a
No,
phase.
That's where we are in the world today.
But we're not. We're not. You know, it's easy. That's where I was in my time. Go. That's just where we are. It's because of the stressors of our environment. We're in a hyper evolution, and I mean societally, not genetically. You know, evolving, but this cultural evolution, and it is breakneck speed, and people are scared out of their minds, and so they circle the wagons psychologically. And so, so it becomes all about them and trying to get through that moment. So it's almost like I not only went, these are the times we live in, but I also went, and I can't expect anything else from these people. But it's not true. There are plenty of people out there like you, like Courts, and hopefully I'll be in that category one day as well.
And that's what gets me going every day, is that when I meet all these people through Newtown Connections and people join our club, that there is such a demand for what I'm doing that, I run 2 events a week. Each maybe has, tonight we're doing kickboxing class. I'll probably have 25 people show up tonight for kickboxing class. And then we go volunteering, and then we do happy hours.
Wait. So the networking event you're putting on is a kickboxing class?
Well, that's the whole fun. I run a social club. So here's what I train people on too, that.
Oh, I have a complete, I don't even know what
do I do? Yes.
Yeah.
So Newtown Connections, we run 2 events a week, roughly 8 to 10 events a month, and they're not just a happy hour at a bar. So we do gym classes, we volunteer every month. I'm doing Millennial CEO speaking series now, so I bring in another speaker under 40 who's a CEO of a company, and me and him and her have a talk for an hour in front of usually 30, 40 people. We do paddleboarding when it's warm. We do sports activities.
Are those things, are you putting those online live as well? Or
yeah, that's me. So I set up all these events. I'm at 98% of the events right now. And so again, the whole philosophy here is that networking happens every day, whether we're here at the radio show today, or I go to church, or I volunteer, or I'm at the gym. Like, networking happens everywhere you go, because people are always going to ask you, what do you do? So I just put this in a frame like, we're going kickboxing class tonight. 20 people. We're having fun. We're working up a sweat, kicking some butt. And people are going to ask, like, oh, hey, like, nice to meet you. I don't know. Who's Maria? I'm like, oh, that's Maria. She has moved here from Venezuela. And then people will say, oh, Maria, like, so what do you do? But it's in a kickboxing class, so it doesn't feel so networky.
Right.
And people, again, when you're kickboxing or you're doing yoga or we're volunteering, it doesn't come off as salesy.
Is this, you were talking a little bit earlier about awareness and about these thoughts that you had, these epiphanies along the way. Have you, because I feel like there's a certain amount of self-awareness that one has to have in order to see those kinds of things. Again, those aren't and that's not something you see every day.
Yeah.
Does this go back to your childhood? Have you always been somebody that have had that awareness about them?
I don't think so. The biggest thing I've learned is that I had to do something that I've never done before. It was move here. I'm born and raised in Indiana. I spent my first 30 years in Indiana. I really had to get outside my comfort zone and take that chance and say, you know what? I visited Tampa, like I said, 2010, and my gut, a lot of people don't listen to their gut and their intuition. I visited here, and my gut says, Andrew, you need to move to Tampa. And I listened to my gut. I mean, I listened to it before, but not very often.
So there was nothing that forced you away from Indiana. You're like, oh, something's happening back here. I just don't want to deal with them.
Like, it was that feeling. And a lot of stuff I do, once I made that big move of going from Indianapolis to here and leaving everything I knew behind and like not having to start over, that really forced me. I was like, how are you gonna, it's the survival tactics of, I'm moving to Florida, I know one person, oh my gosh, I have to meet people, I have to establish myself, I have to make friends, I have to go out and learn about Tampa Bay. That was a huge leap of faith. And once I was here, that gave me that courage of, okay, I'm doing this, I'm making friends, I'm trying different things, I'm salsa dancing, I'm being a big brother, playing beach volleyball. I wasn't playing beach volleyball back in Indiana, but I moved here and do something different.
For those who are watching the Wake.Show and they're sitting behind their computer at work, they're working on something there. They've got a bud in their ear listening to the show today. Who is your demographic? What kind of people does this social network benefit?
So typically it is people who are 21 to, like I said, 40, 45-ish. Young professionals who are just, whether you're new, I always joke, people always ask me, Andrew, I'm not new in town, can I still join? And the answer is yeah, of course. It's whether you want to make new friends or you're new in town. It's a great way to go out and meet people today. That's, again, it's in real life and doing fun activities and events. Not because we have some people who don't drink, some people who drink. Again, anyone can run a happy hour every single week. Those are boring. After a while, you're like, okay, great. We're going to a bar in Soho. I'm like, I'm bored.
Is that you right there when you go to your webpage? The right there at the top are a couple people paddleboarding. So I'm
Yes.
assuming you do that as well.
We do paddleboarding between usually April and October. So
Not this time of year.
not yet. But what I've learned through I've hosted over 200 events in 2.5 years is that people who do these paddleboarding excursions with us, who do the yoga, who do volunteer activity with us, when you meet the 15 or 20 or 25 people at the event, you establish a better connection because you're doing something different. We're out paddleboarding, 15 people at Fort DeSoto. I've learned that those 15 people become true friends because it's 2 hour and you're there together. You're doing the same stuff. You're building that rapport between each other versus if I'm at happy hour at a bar, it's just standing around at a bar is drinking. But it's the activity, the volunteering, the paddleboarding, doing some cooking class. It's something different where you feel connected to the other people because you're all going through the same experience. So that's what, again, I like to do at Newtown is get people out of their comfort zone. Let's do a cooking class. Let's do yoga. Let's do paddleboarding. Let's do something different where, you're like, okay, I've never paddleboarded before. I'll try it.
Yeah, I picture that if you're going to put something together in this modern time, all those activities you just talked about were all games in your app. Let's paddleboard on our app. Let's kickbox on our phones. So it's cool to see that you are bringing people away from their phones. No, we're not just going to sit here at a bar and drink for 2 hours and hop down on your phone and collect a couple of business cards and then go home and be depressed. We're gonna.
Yeah, that's I've read so many studies out there that this loneliness or it's almost depression where people feel socially isolated. That again, if you just move here, and I had a young woman message me on our Instagram page today. She's like, I just moved here from, I believe, San Antonio, Texas. She's like, I don't know anyone. I've been here 4 months. She's like, I don't have any friends. Imagine for 4 months you just move here. You have zero friends. You go to work. You're
depressed.
You sit at home. You watch Netflix, and it's super depressing. And then how that affects your health.
And supposedly we have a whole generation of this coming up, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're dealing with the millennials week in and week out. Do you see? Is it true, and from your experience, that there is that much of a difference from this generation coming up that has been raised with technology versus you're at the bottom end of Generation X or the top end of the millennials?
It is different. Like I'm 36. If I'm hanging out with someone who's 21 or 22. I'm attached to my phone, but not really. Like I'm not on Snapchat. I don't have time to deal with that stuff. I text people. I'm on Facebook a little bit, but people who are younger, like I see it, that they're on their phone all the damn time, and they can't. Like I feel like they're addicted to their phone. That I'm on Snapchat. I got to do this. I got to post on Instagram. It's a job. And like it's crazy to me that I put things on social media, but then I walk away. I don't have to be the constant interaction on my phone.
It's weird every time I meet somebody. Say, Cords will be bringing somebody through the studios here. And this is Fisher. If you know from 97X. And most people, of a certain age, if they've been here in the area, they know me from the radio. But under a certain age, they all say the same thing. I'm sorry, I don't listen to the radio.
Yeah, even for me, I listen to radio when I'm driving, but if I'm at home, it's just Spotify or Pandora or iHeartRadio. It's all through apps, and it's just different generation now.
I've got, I don't know what it is, but I'll drive in silence a lot.
Okay.
No radio, no Spotify, no any. And for me, I'm a little on the weird side.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. You're right. Nothing. Everybody's a little weird. Yeah. But it's not that I'm trying to meditate while I drive, but it's trying to get close to that place so that I'm not thinking about the traffic I'm stuck in. Yes. I'm not thinking about the anxiety of where I'm going or the anxiety of where I came from, just kind of be in that moment. So I guess I use that. I would say, man, like 8 times out of 10, I'm driving with nothing on in the car.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to, there's so much clutter every day. Like, you wake up in the morning, you said it. I go to CNN this morning. I'm like, okay, now we're going to talk about the State of the Union address. And like I said, whether you love it or you hate it, it drives me crazy today that we're at the opposite ends of the world where you either love it or you hate it. There's not this middle ground of, I respect your ideals that we're different, but we can still be friends. It's like now it's, if you don't vote for a person I don't like you, I hate you.
One of the reasons I think it's like that now, well, I don't know. It's when it comes to, say, whether it's Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, right? Let's take two very polarizing figures. I think that those figures become blank canvases for our own fears and desires. Yeah. So you look at your guy, you're the person on your side, and then all of your hopes and dreams you project onto that person, and it's clear as day. You're as clear as day when you're looking at Donald Trump going, this. I mean, I've taken those phone calls on the air.
I'm sure.
Before I started the show, I was doing an AM show. So that's mainly more of your right-wing talk, right? That is not me. If you're going to put me, if you're going to label me that way, then I'm a centrist then.
Yep.
So we'd have these talks, and in the calls from men that you can tell are in their 50s, in their 60s, adults going, can you guys feel it? This is our savior. This is the savior we've been waiting for, talking about Donald Trump. And the same thing happened 8 years prior when Barack Obama came in. You flip the coin there, and you had people going, this is it. This is the savior we've been waiting for. And then, conversely, or when you look at Hillary Clinton, the negative that gets projected onto her. Again, I don't think there's any truths or many truths in what we say or feel about these people, except for what it says about us. So I think these political figures, no matter how this way or that way they are, we have a tendency to make them the savior or the creature, the exact opposite of a savior.
Yeah, and like I said, in my opinion, that I believe in the good in everyone, and that's at Newtown Connections, I don't talk about politics. I'm like, hey, you vote for whoever, don't bring it in the group, because it is such a divisive topic today. But at the end of the day, like I love living here in America. I want to see the U.S. be successful, and it's my job to bring people together and bring it back to a time before when we didn't have the cell phones, that you had to talk to people in real life and have nice conversation. And I put it on Twitter yesterday that get to know your neighbor. Start. Everyone wants to be a part of your community. Here's some advice. I say hi to my neighbors. I introduce myself. I'm like, hi. I wave to people and I smile, because that's where I come from. And I think it drives me. Another thing that it's frustrating for me when I'm here in Florida, that I say hi to my neighbors, someone just they look down, they don't even acknowledge me.
You're like, they're from New York.
Well, I didn't say that.
That's what I do. That's what I do in my head. That's what I do, because I'm a waver and a hi. How are you? My wife's from Long Island. Excuse me. She makes fun of those moments, because for her at 31 years old, she has her group of friends. She doesn't need anybody else, and that's it. She's good. And now it's making more sense to me why she does that. It's because of her anxiety, and so she's afraid that I'm going to make too many friends, and all of a sudden she has to get to know somebody else that she doesn't want to know.
And that's why I help push people outside their comfort zone. That I have an older brother. He's 40. He doesn't live here, but if he did live here, he wouldn't join Newtown Connections, because he feels the same, that I have my group of 5 friends. I'm 40 years old. I don't need any more friends. I'm good. And my whole thing is like, look, you don't know until you actually try something. Like, maybe you're going to meet someone who leads you to something else, that you start a new business or
a whole new world. Sorry.
Exactly. So again, like you can live in your safe little bubble that's comfortable. You know what it is. You're going to have your oatmeal every day in the morning. You're going to the gym at LA Fitness at 5:30 every day. And I tell people, like, before you know it, you're going to be 50 years old, and you're like, what have I really done with my life? And that's right. I push people. I'm like, look, I'm a CPA. I could have done that life. I could have been there, done that, married a girl and had kids, but what would my life be? And that's why I tell people, like, find your purpose, which again, it's not easy to find your purpose. I understand that. But
no, it's not. It is.
Well, it took me 34 years, and again, I had to like really go outside and do something crazy of moving here and starting something to figure out, like, oh my gosh, I wasn't born to be a CPA. Just like, you're probably not born to be an engineer or whatever. I'm like, go do something that
right. Those are just things that bring some income in. Those are things that bring in money so that you can have food on the table and this and that. But yeah, but if you go, hey, well, this is who I am, is my job. Well, yeah, that's a horrible life.
And I think the other thing too that goes with purpose is fulfillment. So I hear it a lot today from millennials who are 20s and 30s, that they work at these companies. They want to have that sense of fulfillment, that they're not just going to corporate America and working the 10 hours a day. They want to have some sense I'm doing something
so
with my
that somebody else can become a multimillionaire and then look down at the people that helped him got there and go, well, if you would have did the same things I did, you could be in my position. Boo, you get $5 an hour. Screw you.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So I think millennials get a bad name, and that, like, oh, they're super lazy and they don't care. I'm like, I think it's the opposite. They do care.
I agree.
They like the flexibility, and they want to have a sense of fulfillment. So I hear it all the time. They want to be doing something. That's my job to help them find that sense of fulfillment, whatever it is.
Well, think about when we get to the end of life. How often do you hear stories from people at the end of life? They're in their 90s, going, "Man, I wish I would have." I wish I would have organized my files better at work back when. No, they talk about the regrets they had from not traveling, or making more friends.
And that's I live it every day. Like when I do these millennial speaking talks, usually my last question is, hey, whoever it is, like, what legacy are you going to leave behind when you're 85 years old, looking back at your life? What is your legacy? And I think a lot of people don't ever think of that. I'm like, okay, that's 50 years away or 60 years away. I'm not thinking 60 years down the road, but you should be. Like, again, like, you may be 25, you may be working at a CPA firm, law firm, corporate America. It doesn't matter. What are you moving towards to actually leave an impact? Like, that's what drives me. Is I see what I do. I impact people's lives every day. It's not just me. Like, other people get together. People have gotten jobs through the group. Again, you never know till you try.
People have gotten engaged through the group.
Yeah, it's crazy to see what happens when I compare myself to a modern day Hitch, and that, like the movie Hitch, Will Smith, he creates the environment, or he sends people into this environment where you're going to meet people. I do the same thing with Newtown Connections, where, again, single people, married people, you're going to have a natural conversation. But when you bring 50 people together who are like-minded, who are there for the same reason, to make friends, and you're out, at a cooking class or doing a sports activity, things happen. The conversation comes up, and I said, like Hitch, I just create this environment where things happen, and it's up to you to start, to start the conversation. I just create the environment to make it happen.
So is that your legacy then? What's it going to say on your tombstone?
On my tombstone, it's going to say, "He really lived, ... Because, again, like, I do a lot of stuff, and I watched the movie Secondhand Lions, I believe, with Robert Duvall and Haley Joel Osment. Okay. Where, Robert Duvall and there's another guy, these older guys, they were flying an airplane through a barn, and then, they're 85 years old flying this airplane, try to fly through a barn, and they passed away. And on their tombstone, I said, "They really lived." And I was like, you know what? That's why I want my tombstone to say, like, "He really lived." That I did everything out there. I left it all on the table. I have no regrets.
And you have to in the end, and they have to, because you're going to get to the end and go, "What the hell did I do?"
Yeah, you look back in your life and say, "Great, I spent 50 years doing this, that, and the other, and I had some kids." And, like, what do you want your kids and grandkids to think of you? That, okay, great, Grandpa worked at a company and he didn't do anything else. That's it.
Well, Andrew Mahota, thank you so much for coming by today. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure meeting you. It's a pleasure meeting another positive person here in the Tampa Bay area. And it has a lot to do with the guy that owns this company, Bake More Pies, and the person that I've partnered with for this show, for the Wake.Show, and that is Cords Owen. Yes. And because
thank you, Cords.
Yeah, you're not the first person he's brought through here, but every single person has been very positive and contributing to society instead of taking away from society, it seems.
And I'll leave it at that. I do believe in the laws of attraction, so I think that's why.
So that's the secret to the secret.
Is that you surround yourself with other positive, like-minded people, like Cords and you and whoever else. You're going to attract positive people. If you start hanging around negative people, you're going to attract negative people. So that's my takeaway for the last is laws of attraction. Stay with positive people, and good things will happen. You'll start attracting more positive things.
Like your granddad would say, if you lie with dogs, you're going to get fleas.
Exactly.
I don't know if that applies to this or not, but yeah. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, so now you can let yourself out, because it's just me.
Okay.
It's just me. So you can I think on your way out there's something we're shooting downstairs in the main studio. You can be a part of that.
Do I get a gift bag on the way out?
Sure, take one of these shirts there. Well, see, those are from the other guests, so why don't you take the Shark Teasers one? If you're a paddleboard guy.
Oh, there.
See, I'm not even kidding. You see that on the table there. Why don't you go ahead and take the Shark Teasers shirt? And that comes from my buddy Keith Connors.
Well, I do appreciate that.
All right. All right, take care.
Thanks, Chris.
Unless you like the other one better.
I think this is good.
All right. Take care. It was nice meeting you. All right. Coming up here in a couple minutes, we will check in with our boy Eric Stratman. Let's check some comments here. Do they need security? That's funny. No. All right. So we'll get to Eric Stratman here in just a minute. We'll get to some of the stories that I pulled up as well. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Yes, let's see here. Trump mentioned the Pledge of Allegiance pose in his State of the Union. Here's the real reason for the hand-on-heart gesture. We'll touch on that. Let's go ahead and fire up Eric here. See if he's ready to go. Actually, we'll do a little bit of this. Hi. How's it going? You know what? I always forget to share the show. One of the things that we have to do around here is once we go live, well, it helps anyway. Do you trust this computer? Let me just undo that. Is share the show. Yes, he is ready to go. All right, let me share the show real quickly, and then we'll fire him up. How you doing, Mike? Copy link. What? Come on, let me just share on my timeline. There we go. All right, let's fire up Eric Stratman. You guys, has everybody been, loading in their nutrition and whatnot? Let's see here. Do this, and I'm gonna do that there. Boom, boom. Good morning, Eric. How are you, sir?
How you doing, man? I think it's afternoon now, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. Well, it is exactly noon. We go now to Eric Stratman in New York. He is a professional. He's a professional everything from TNL.
We go there, baby.
Oh yeah, from TNL.
How beautiful does that look?
Nutrition coaching.
Buffalo chicken.
That's I'm a huge fan. Tell me more about that buffalo chicken because I'm starving too.
So, something like this, we were talking about it, and I wanted to make sure we look at it. We carry it here at our gym, but this is Balanced Chef. We look at it's got macros listed of 489 calories, 50 grams of protein, 25 grams of fat, and 18 grams of carbs. And that's something that I wanted to talk to you. I know you're a busy guy. You don't have a lot of time to prepare your food, so this is a great opportunity to look at what is that local prep company for you guys. So are you guys getting prep foods that are readily available? There's so many companies that are out there now, and there's probably 3 or 4 in the Tampa Bay area that we're seeing that these people are prepping foods, and it's going to cost you about as much as normal. The time that you guys are taking to prep them, shop for them, and now you've got something that's a very healthy choice, and it's readily available, delivered right to your house.
Let's talk a little bit about those micro and macro nutrients and whatnot, because my wife right now, she's on some program where she logs in points. But it's different from what you're doing because, certain things won't even count as points. It doesn't take into account any of the nutrients at all, just the calories.
Yeah, and the issue with doing it, and I don't want to say issue, I want to start out with it's negative. Because if you're counting your calories first and foremost, then we're ahead of the game. So most people do not count their calories. Most people don't log the amount of food they have. So at least knowing what it is and obviously seeing those points is something that's huge. So what we want to see is that starting to recognize, because our tier, how our pyramid works, is exactly kind of like how your wife's starting. How many calories is she eating a day? Then what we do is the tier above that is what macronutrients are made up in that. So then we look at how much protein, fat, and carbs are made up of the calories you eat. Because if you eat 100% carbs or 80% carbs or 90% fat, like when you're counting points, if you have 4 brownies and you hit your calorie goal, great. Does that sound healthy to any of us?
No.
Does it sound absolutely delicious? Yes. So we want to make sure that that we're looking at that. And then the tier above our macronutrients is micronutrients. So the vitamins and minerals, the quality of the food. So if I asked you to have 50 grams of carbs in a meal and you had a handful of Skittles or a cup of sweet potatoes, it's kind of obviously what we'd rather have is Skittles, but what's going to be the better choice and have a healthier effect on our bodies is obviously the sweet potatoes.
Talk about breakfast, because I grew up, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But in my adult life, man, I can't tell you how many successful people I've run into that don't even eat breakfast, that don't have their first meal until 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Let's show you no breakfast. You ready?
Okay.
it looks like that.
You're a no breakfast kind of a guy.
So to give you an example, this is kind of my typical day. I just got done working out. It's right at noon. I probably get done normally about 11:30. Ran a little late today, and I'll eat right now. Is going to be my first meal of the day. So the studies that are showing what intermittent fasting is doing is phenomenal. Right there at the University of Tampa, we are seeing that there's an intermittent fasting study they did over a few months, and it didn't matter if you ate all of your calories in one sitting or throughout the day, your body metabolizes them the same, and your body utilizes them as energy the same. But what the great advantage is when you shorten the window that you eat in, you actually allow your body to feed on its own body fat, the stored energy, throughout the day longer. So what is breakfast? It's breaking the fast. So I'm going to have breakfast. It's just going to be at about 12:30, not at when we think about getting up at 7 or 6 or 5 or whatever time we wake up. So it's not one of those things. And like I know you and I talk a lot about, hey, you wake up starving, you want to get something on the way. Hey, it's one of those, maybe just have a coffee. Try to skip over, and then right after the show, that's when you're going to eat. It's going to take 2 or 3 days for your body to get used to it. But the other thing that I've seen, because I think you and I are a lot alike with focusing on the meals, and I think everybody out there, it's when you get that breakfast and you get that stimulus of calories, and then your blood sugar goes up and it rises. When it starts to drop a little bit, then that's where we see the problem, because we get hungry again. Our brains say, hey,
right now
your
I'm
blood sugar's a
starving.
little low.
I'm starving right now. I ate a bowl of cereal. I don't know, a few hours ago, and I probably should have had an apple or some kind of a candy bar, not a candy bar, but a nutrition bar before I went on today.
I like a nutrition bar. Sounds better than candy bar. If they add 5 grams of protein, it goes from Snickers to protein.
Right.
It's funny when you look at the actual macronutrients of a lot of these bars, and that's what it is, right? It's it's just a caked up. They church up a candy bar with a few grams of protein.
So where are you then when it comes to supplements? If you're not a protein bar kind of a guy.
So
not
I
supplements,
am a
not
protein
supplements. But I guess those little snacks, those easy snacks that people could just throw into their bag or their purse.
So not getting too long-winded on it, but one of the companies I follow and enjoy their products is Quest. This is a total plug for them, but they don't pay me anything, unfortunately. But the reason why I recommend this, I use it myself and for all of my clients, is it's a gluten-free option. It's something with high protein, but it has high fiber. Where a lot of people don't realize where fiber, all they think is Metamucil commercials and, keeping you regular. But the thing with fiber, the other beautiful thing it does is it's thermogenic, so it's harder for your body to burn through it. But then the other thing it does is it blunts your blood sugar. So understand, the higher fiber foods you have, the lower your blood sugar stays in your insulin. You're going to burn more fat and be more successful in your nutrition journey. But Quest understands this, and all of their products, they have bars, they actually have cookies now, which are awesome. I used to be a big Lenny and Larry fan with those big protein cookies. Now I'm a Quest guy because it has a lower carbohydrate profile, much higher protein, but then a very good fiber content. So Quest is one that I would say check out, or something with. Some of the other companies have followed suit and seeing that, but I would look at what the fiber content is when you're having some type of supplement like a bar. I'm a big bar fan because we're always on the run, and that would even be my go-to for you. I have a lot of people, hey, I can't eat, I don't have time for a shake, I can't bring it in the car, or I dumped it on my seat once, I don't want to mess with that. Have a Quest bar. Throw it on the dash, let it warm up a little bit, and rock and roll.
When did because you were talking about how you don't even eat until about this time of day. When is your last meal? Are you somebody that says, hey, you need to stop eating at 8 o'clock, or can you eat all the way up until bedtime?
I eat all the way up until bedtime because the way my clock is working now is that I get up at 4:15. So I've been on quite a fast. So I do about an 8-hour window, a 7 to 8 hour window of eating. So it's not like there's some extreme people that do this intermittent fasting and they're in like a 2 or 4 hour window. I do an 8-hour window. I typically will do like 11 to 7 or 12 to 8. I'm not stringent on it. If I'm hungry, I'm going to eat because I still have my macro count that I follow, and I eat that within that 8 hours. And for, like going back to what I said, how we are a lot alike with what we eat. If we can push off that first meal a little bit longer and we make a pretty good decision with that first meal, we've got less time to screw it up. But if you're eating over a 14-hour period instead of a 6, 8, 10-hour period, there's less room for error.
All right, so I'm going to try that tomorrow morning. I'm going to start with a glass of water, because I know you'd brought that up on the show before.
Big glass.
Yeah, huge
like
glass.
32 ounces.
For a lot of people too, the eating in the morning, it makes they're nauseous. They don't want to have breakfast. And I know sometimes if I start with water, there's something about water, and I don't know if it's because is water acidic or basic or what?
No, it's completely level. There's no acidic. There's a pH level in it, and it's pretty alkaline, but it's not one of those things that's acidic based. Like coffee is very acidic, but
coffee goes down.
The other thing,
fine.
you look at water too. What is a good advantage for you and for a lot of folks when you're hungry, if you pound water, and I mean pound it like not have a sip out of your 16-ounce bottle, like have gulps out of your 32-ounce bottle, is its volume. No matter how you look at it, it's volume. So it fills your stomach. It takes that signal away that your stomach's empty and you need to do it. I mean, we've had so many people have massive weight loss because they keep a gallon of water near them, and when they're hungry, they pound it because they're going to go to their meal when they're supposed to, not just eat when they're hungry. So.
All right, makes sense. Well, Eric Stratman, thank you so much for being on the show again today. If you want to track down Eric, you can do so at TNL Coaching on Facebook. Hit him up there, message him, and he'll call you. He'll video conference you every single week and get you on track. Wait, what are you pointing at? You pointing at me?
Yeah.
We got to go.
You or whoever's looking at it.
All right, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, brother. Have a great one.
Thank you, Eric.
Easy.
All right,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Eric Stratman, once again, track him down on Facebook at TNL Coaching. All right, I do want to hit. Let's see something. Rate my video call. It was a 5. It was excellent. My video call was excellent. Oh, well, I just shut down all of my stuff here. Hold on a second. Hi, how's it going? Let's get back over to this deal right here. There we go. All right, where did all my stuff? How do you restore my tabs? Restore all tabs. There you go. So do you know why we hold our hand over our heart when it comes to the...
Let's begin tonight
the national
by
anthem?
recognizing that the state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
So during his first State of the Union address, President Donald Trump on Tuesday night highlighted the work of 12-year-old Preston Sharp of Redding, California, who started an effort to place American flags at veterans' graves on Veterans Day. Sharp's patriotism, Trump said, is a reminder of why we salute our flag, why we put our hands on our hearts for the Pledge of Allegiance, and why we proudly stand for the national anthem. Now, this is pretty interesting. Whoops, there we go. This is pretty interesting because I had no idea. Do you know why we put our hand over our heart? I did not. The Pledge of Allegiance was written amidst a flag-planting movement, one to put a flag in every American school classroom in the 1880s and 1890s. The young patriot named in the State of the Union even coincidentally shares a name with the man who started the movement in the late 19th century, Daniel Sharp Ford, the publisher of the Youth's Companion magazine. Did you know any of this? The magazine is thought to have sold flags to about 26,000 schools in 1892, motivated not only by the patriotism, but also by a desire to sell subscriptions. The magazine came up with the idea for a salute to the flag, something that would promote national loyalty, but also encourage the purchase of both flags and magazines. How great is that? So our national anthem, our Pledge of Allegiance, and the saluting of the flag all stemmed from a guy trying to sell, well, for what the article says, it was a little bit of column A, a little column B. He was a patriot, but he also wanted to sell magazine subscriptions. So it's long been debated about who exactly wrote it, but its author is believed to be Francis Bellamy, a 37-year-old Baptist minister and vice president of Boston Society of Christian Socialists. Christian Socialists. That's easier said than said. According to Mark G. Tollhouse's God in Public, 4 Ways American Christianity and Public Life Relate, one of the magazine's marketing staffers, James B. Upton, was a nephew of President Benjamin Harrison, and the group was able to get a National Education Association support for their campaign. The timing was ripe for an idea like theirs. Not only was Harrison's administration looking for ways to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus landing in America, but the nation was in the grips of a wave of turmoil about patriotism and the meaning of the United States, particularly the question of who got to be American. The debate would fuel extreme policies in Washington and elsewhere. It also played out in classrooms. These anxieties about immigration and the perceived need to imbue immigrants with loyalty to the United States fueled the early 20th century drive to require flags and pledges in the schools. Repeatedly pledging allegiance would somehow Americanize the young and inoculate them against the disease of radicalism, according to that. So the version of the Pledge of Allegiance published in the September 8th, 1892 issue of the magazine was, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." And here's how Bellamy described how pupils should deliver it in public. Well, there we go. Delivered in the official program of the National Columbian Public School celebration, which took place on October 21st of that year. And here you go. This is the way we were originally supposed to, salute the flag. At a signal from the principal, the pupils in ordered ranks, hands to their side, face the flag. Another signal is given. Every pupil gives the flag the military salute. Right hand lifted, palm down to align with the forehand and close to it. Standing thus, all repeat together slowly. "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." At the words "to my flag," the right hand is extended gracefully, palm upward towards the flag, and remains in this gesture till the end of the affirmation, whereupon all hands immediately drop to the side. Then, still standing, as instruments strike a chord, all will sing, "America, my country, 'tis of thee." This proper delivery is notably without the hand over the heart. The reason for the change and why today's posture is seen as a proper way to deliver the pledge is simple, if surprising. By the 50th anniversary of the pledge, this so-called Bellamy salute had gotten a bad rap because it looked a lot like the salute the Nazis were using. Just 6 months after Congress added the pledge to the federal flag code, it would change the salute to the right hand over the heart posture. And that's how we got the right hand over the heart. Originally, it looked a little bit more like the Nazi salute. And that's all. That's all I got. It's not really all I got. It's all I wanted to talk about today. So that is it for the Wake.Show. Thank you so much to my guest today, Andrew Mahota, a founder of Newtown Connections. Also, and I forgot to put it in the body there, but also thank you so much to Eric Stratman of TNL Coaching, who comes on every single week, TNL Nutrition Coaching. So have a great day. Be safe. And tomorrow, Chris McCarty will be back in studio. I think we got another guest rolling through tomorrow and at least one on Friday as well, as the Wake.Show continues to evolve. Have a great day.